There's certain trades that are going to really be hit by these tariffs. Lumber specifically.
A good friend of mine who purchases steel regularly, he's seen it already hitting him in the material he's buying.
National Home Builder says upwards of $9,200 per home impact in increased cost.
You have to understand, tariffs are going to hit you in a lot of different places.
What are they seeing on the electrical and line work side?
The raw material is going to get hit. You're looking at aluminum.
Now, I heard a theory about this. Ford is going to make a killing out of this. Obviously, tariffs have been a hot button for us contractors. And I got to be honest, I'm confused at what's going on right now, left and right, but a lot of data. I mean, you've got some friends you've already started to talk to and industry partners. What are you starting to see out there?
Well, it's starting to hit. I mean, obviously, people are starting to make purchases or stock up on material, and it's been coming. I mean, they've been talking about it. But a good friend of mine who purchases quite a bit of steel regularly, he's seen it already hitting him in the material he's buying. And I mean, at the end of the day, that tariff hits that product, and then him as a business, he has to pass it along. Now, you know, if the tariff comes in on steel or aluminum, something like that, I think they're at 25%. You know, the expectation is, well, that product I'm buying is going to go up by that much. And that's not always the case.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, there's certain trades that are going to really be hit by these tariffs. Obviously, lumber specifically, so much of our lumber, upwards of 70%, come from Canada. And most of our residential homes are built, obviously, with lumber. So those are some big ones. National Home Builder says upwards of $9,200 per home impact in increased cost. So that's risen 34% since December 2020. So here we go again. We were living through the wild whirlwind of supply chain and tariff management. Plumbers, another one. A lot of fixtures, obviously, in our homes come from China. Electricians, which on the electrical line work, because I know you train on that, Terry, with your folks. I mean, what are they seeing on the electrical and line work side?
Well, I mean, the raw material is going to get hit, right? So if you're looking at, you know, distribution side, you're looking at aluminum that's going to be used on those distribution wires. You know, that stuff is going to end up getting passed along. You know, one thing that just came to mind, if lumber prices are going up, right? And this is something that we've seen similar to when the pandemic started, right? Everything became a lot more expensive. You know, the industry, residential construction, started looking at alternatives, right? And so I wonder if, you know, if you're looking at ICF, which is going to be an insulated concrete formwork, so that's a locally manufactured product. I know there's some companies out of Kansas, and then you're filling it with concrete, which is all coming from the United States. Are you going to see now those alternative building systems becoming the better option?
Yeah. It's like the necessity is the mother of invention, right? Costs are going to go up to the point where somebody's going to figure out another widget. Some other ones that I was surprised to see on the list was appliance installers and flooring installers.
Soto.
And also gypsum, which, I mean, we're fortunate enough to live near, you know, a gypsum kind of, I don't know, what is it called? A gypsum mine? It's really like on the ground. I mean, when you look at it, it's like, wow, what's all this white stuff? Well, it's gypsum.
Yeah, I think Harrison Gypsum here in Oklahoma is the one who's going to be pulling a lot of that product. So I don't quite, I mean, you have to understand tariffs are going to hit you in a lot of different places. You know, the mechanical parts that could be going into the equipment that you're repairing, the chips and the different technology that you're using. It's going to hit us in places we don't know yet.
Yeah, and specifically, like, I didn't realize that 71% of gypsum is imported from Mexico. I didn't realize there was that much coming from Mexico just on sheetrock, right? Maybe this is a sign, Terry, that we're going to go back to wood paneling. You know, the old birch wood paneling. Yep. You had it in your home, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
But no, less affected. I was surprised to see painters, obviously, because most of their stuff is locally sourced, but a lot of the materials, the brushes, the rollers, things like that, but also landscapers. Makes sense because, well, you can't exactly import a maple tree from, you know, some other country because it's you got to be able to get it planted, and the grass just keeps growing. So hopefully there's not a grass growing tariff on the horizon.
Well, at the end of the day, the tariffs are going to have an effect, and then we're going to move to change how we do business. And it's either going to be something we eat because it's been passed along, or we're going to make a different choice.
Yeah. We've already seen some adjustment. We're obviously in a steel heavy business, but haven't seen a massive amount. We've got some of our foam based products we are starting to see change because there's a lot of imported resins and ISOs that come in. But also, we are fortunate enough to have some suppliers that, have sustained quite a bit of future purchasing before to work through that
Yep.
as these tariffs come in. But even the local mills are trying to just figure out the supply demand curve because now they're obviously getting more localized orders. That's increasing the demand. So we're kind of getting it hit from both sides. But
Well, what's going to happen, Will, when you have to replace that work truck because
uh-huh,
it's time to come up, right? That
uh-huh.
is going to be a cost that you're going to have to chew on.
Now, I heard a theory about this because we're into our work trucks, right, Terry? Now, I heard somebody mention to me the other day who has their ears to the market saying Ford is going to make a killing out of this. But then again, I don't even know where the hell Ford manufactures most of their stuff now. I had assumed it was in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's one of those where it's like, like, now I don't know if these individuals have a large amount of Ford stock,
Yep.
but I guess we'll find out. So,
Well, you also have to understand, I think if you look at some of the trucks that are out there, I think a Toyota truck's actually manufactured somewhere in Georgia, right? So
yeah.
it's
And
not
some in Texas. Yeah.
right.
In Dallas.
Yeah, and it's not just it's just not where it's manufactured, but it's components that go into it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's going to be disruption, there's going to be costs associated with it. It's just a cost of doing business that we're going to have to live with for a while, or maybe longer.
Hopefully, our aluminum cans and aluminum bottles don't go up, Terry. Are we going to have to just drink straight from the keg? Is
We
that what's gonna
might, or
happen?
maybe, well, that you do get to recycle those kegs now, so that is the
Oh, there
more
we go.
environmentally
I
thing
was
to
going to say,
do.
yeah, you were really thinking about the environment, weren't you? So anyway, well, hey, we're talking about a lot of physical goods with tariffs. Let's talk about some metaphysical stuff today, some intangibles. That's a big word, isn't it, Terry?
It is.
So this is interesting because I've known this individual for a long time, but we're seeing more and more of this in the industry. So our guest today is the owner of Hettinger Design. One of the reasons I wanted to have him on, the author of Modern Graphic Design with AI. Today our guest is Neil Hettinger. Neil, welcome to the party, buddy.